I know people get cringe about social media, but being intentional and being able to show your authenticity on social media and face-to-face with people has a bigger impact than anything you'll pay someone else to do for you.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Connections That Matter, where we have great conversations with Northern Colorado's best networkers and find out some tips that make them successful. Today, I have one of Loveland's royalty as far as networking. We have Desiree Gustafson on the show from City Lifestyle. Desiree, welcome.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
Well, if you are in the networking scene and you have probably been to an event around Loveland, I'm guarantee you most people have seen you. But if they're not familiar with you, share a little bit about what you do.
So I own Loveland South Lifestyle magazine. We are a hyper-local, community-focused magazine. So we tell the stories of some of our advertisers, but always the businesses and the nonprofits and the humans in our town, making it a better place and a better community.
So it's Loveland plus South. So what is the South?
So Loveland plus South, I am the third owner. So technically, I didn't get to name it. I think it's because it incorporates Loveland, Berthoud, and Johnstown. So it's all three cities. So I think they just kind of incorporated the and South into those other two.
Yeah, and different feels, right, between Loveland, between Berthoud, and Johnstown. So how do you create content that encompasses all three, and how do you highlight the individuality of the three different places?
That's a good question. So all of our content, we have themes every single month for the issues. And so we try to pick stories from different areas and different businesses all the time, but that's unique to them that plays off of the theme. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier for us, but it also plays into what makes their business unique and what their clientele and what their community is like based on that theme. So the Kids and Pets issue would be our August issue, and we're working with some Johnstown, Animal Friends Alliance, and then we're also doing Poudre Valley REA, so they'll be sharing some of their scholarship winners from each town. So we kind of get to tell the stories of the kids in each town that receive that. So we try to tie it in to make it local to the businesses and the communities as individuals as well.
Well, super cool. Well, take us through a day in the life of a publisher of a magazine, because it comes out the different episode or the magazine comes out on the 1st, but you're working all month long. So take us through what does a month look like?
Typically, my Mondays are my office days. So I usually try to reset, get meetings set for the week, get the social media caught up with, see what my networking schedule is going to look like in the evenings. And then usually client meetings during the day, trying to interview businesses and find new partners and connect other businesses to one another in the community. And then on top of that, I am the marketing team and the social media team, and currently the editorial team as well. So that's something I'm always keeping in mind during my day. Do I have a to-do list of things that I have to finish? And every day I kind of have a different schedule for things that need to get done that day that are maybe a little more emergent based on deadlines. So we have an editorial deadline, but then a new partnership deadline every month. So I kind of run by those, and then sometimes the month feels like a blur, to be honest, by the end of it. And we have partner events that happen every single weekend too, or weeknights. So we try to attend as many of those as possible as well. So usually by Saturday or Sunday, I'm I need 5 hours to just get caught up on life.
Talk to me about the deadlines, because it goes to print at a certain area, and some business owners, that would be so stressful to be it's a hard deadline every time. But yours is a constant, we got to hit deadlines. So how do you stay on top of it?
So editorial-wise, sometimes I do feel like it's a mad scramble. Towards the 9th is our editorial deadline every month. And so sometimes I'm real ahead of it, and I have all our photo shoots scheduled out, and the stories are half done, and they've been approved. And some months, the night before, I'm we don't have enough city scene photos. And I'm scrambling on social media to try to find photos of our partners. I'm usually pretty good about planning it out and spending some of my evenings doing a little bit at a time. So when those last 3 days roll around, I'm not having a panic attack. And then we are looking to hire someone for our editorial team, and they usually help with that as well. But I try to keep things pretty ahead of schedule, and we really want to give anyone we do a story with lead time. We want them to be able to approve it if they want to make changes. We never want to share a story about anyone or any business that isn't approved and is representing their brand in the way that they want to be seen. So
How do you keep it so relational? Like with your business partners, like it's not just that they're a part of one issue, they're a part of the ongoing story. And you do such a great job of cultivating community within your thing. So any tips to keep the relationships that you have with your business clients really strong?
I would say constantly check in. Like even if you're just shooting someone a text and being like, hey, how's it going? Do you need anything from us? Ask to grab coffee with them sometimes. And I try to pay attention to their social media pages too. So if they have an event coming up that they maybe haven't shared or emailed about, I'll be like, hey, give me some information about this. Can we put it in the events calendar? And I try to stay on top of it that way. And like, they want to hear from you. They like that. They know that they have an ad with you every single month, but having a personal touch with them and being in front of them and being like, hey, how's life? Or even when they have family things come up or things go on, like I really want people to know we take it seriously as a partnership. We're not just here to have an ad with us every month and you don't hear from us. Like I really want to have a relationship with those people. And then I know what they need to, whether I can connect them to another business or if they have something coming up that we want to showcase story-wise. I can't do all that if I don't touch base. So I try to make it a point to follow up with at least once a month with everybody if I can.
Do you use any tools to do that? Or is it just part of your natural way of being? Like
I should. I should keep track of it. I do have like a customer love like spreadsheet that I do. So I try to remember like birthdays and work anniversaries. I'm not always as on top of it as I probably could be. Sure. But I think that like that's something I've started doing and I'm trying to keep up with that. But it's just something I kind of have already ingrained and touch base with people once a month. And it helps that I'm always keeping track of their ad list, right? Like, hey, you have an ad upcoming due. You guys haven't submitted anything. Is there anything you need from me too? Trying to stay on top of that also keeps a touch point directly in front of people. And it is their responsibility, but also like, I don't know. I want to make sure that they get everything they need on time too. So
yeah, you're putting them in a position to win.
Yeah.
Desiree, what advice would you give to a Loveland, Johnstown, or Berthoud business owner who's trying to get in touch with the community and like be relational with the community? What do you see of your business partners who do it really well versus some that maybe don't make it as much of a priority?
I would say networking is huge. Just face to name. You can put a great social media marketing plan together on Claude or whatever it is you want to use, or you can put ads or billboards up. But if people don't see you and connect that authenticity and that face to the business, it's never going to land for them. And the best brands are built because they invoke some kind of an emotion and some kind of authenticity. And that's how they connect to people. People stay loyal with brands and continue coming back to, say, an HVAC company or their hair salon because there's an emotional connection there. And they have a touch point with that. And so I think being authentic and being able to show that, I know people get cringe about social media, but being intentional and being able to show your authenticity on social media and face-to-face with people has a bigger impact than anything you'll pay someone else to do for you.
Awesome. Well, I want to get back to the networking a little bit, but for the ads, and if people have got an ad space, what do you see that connects with the client? Is it, I don't know. I've heard some different things, but what do you see from your clients who do the ads really well, or how do they design them?
I would say the same thing. There has to be some authenticity to it. Generic, it can look as pretty as it wants to, but if there's no emotional connection or a tie to why you do what you do, then your ad's going to fall flat. It's the same thing that comes back to the branding piece of being authentic. I think that translates into your marketing, your messaging. So if your why isn't your pillar, then everything that you wrap around it, your messaging, your marketing, your advertising is going to fall flat. So I think that needs to be translated into your ad, into anything that you do on social media, print, digital, because you can pay to push an ad out on digital, but if it doesn't have some kind of authentic connection, it's going to matter. And being in front of the clientele you want to be in front of and knowing how to connect to them in that emotional way is just important too. So if you're advertising to 900 things and you have, I don't know, maybe you're on the little tiny receipts at King Soopers on the bottom and that's what you're paying to advertise, how many people check that? Are those the clients you want to be in front of? Is that actually who's going to make your needle in your business move? Or are you just trying it out to see if it works? So,
what do you think people do? Are they just throwing stuff out there, seeing what sticks? Or
I think sometimes a business owner will start a business because they're passionate about what they do, but they're not marketers and they're not advertisers. They start a business because they know that business. And so their passion is in that. And sometimes the marketing and the advertising is kind of where, unless they hire an expert to come in and help them, that feels like a chore to them. And it feels like something they don't want to do. And sometimes that will translate into what happens on their social media or their advertising campaigns. And so I think being able to have somebody who can come in and say, this is the authenticity of what you do and why, and this is what's important, and translating that, here's how we do that. That helps them find that path a little bit. And I would say for someone who doesn't know that, figure out what your why is. Why do you do what you do? Why do you love it? And that's what's going to help you translate your messaging to the right audience.
And there's power being like, as seen in Loveland South City Lifestyle, if it gives that like third party endorsement or credibility to your business rather than just the stuff you're putting out for your own social media. Yeah. Well, let's talk about networking, because when I see you networking, you come with a squad many times, right? You're either taking them under your wing and helping them get out there, but you always show up with a group of people who are networking together.
I think we try to bring our partners because, like I said, they have full-time businesses, so they might not be aware of all the things that are happening in the community that can connect them to other people, whether that's a networking event you're throwing, a chamber after hours, a Loveland Berthoud Association of Realtors event. There's so many things that happen every single week. And so we try to give our partners opportunities to say, hey, this is going on this week. This would be good for you to get in front of these people. Or I even make individual connections. Like if I meet someone at an event and I'm like, you need to know Jackie from Plunge, I will send an email and be like, hey, you two need to meet and collaborate. But I also drag them to things, sometimes unwillingly. If you ask Christina Walston, she'll tell you that. I will register them for things and put their name down and be like, hey, you're coming to this. And some of them, they're great at their business, but they don't like networking. So they need someone to kind of push them a little outside that box and get them in front of the clients and the people they need to be connecting with.
Well, tell like a success story. Somebody helped set up as like a networking, collaborating, and what did that turn into?
So I would say Adriana is probably my favorite success story to share about. She owns From Scratch Farm. So they do table to farm catering, but then she also will cultivate and plan a whole homesteadscape pretty much for you. If you want to grow your own food and do regenerative farming, she'll come in and be like, this is how much land you have. This is what you can do. This is what you can build, which is incredible for people who want to do that. But she started off as a quarter page ad with me, and that was her part-time side hustle. And so she had a full-time job. And so we did the ad, and I drug her to networking things. I forced her to join the Chamber of Commerce, and then we did an article on her. And then by that following year, she actually was able to quit her full-time job, and she gets to do what she loves every single day. And she actually gets to help other people do things and install things and put things in their life that she's passionate about cultivating and maintaining for them. And so I think that's changed, like seeing that change someone else's life is what it's all about, is lifting other businesses up and getting them to connect to the right clientele and the right people to change their business in a way that's impactful and integrity-led.
I think that's so cool. Like the business, like if you have a business that supports the growth of other businesses, to see the transformation, right? The before and afters, or the snapshot in time when they started working with you, and then what that turns into. Did you see like any like internal growth? Like did she become something more different to get to this new goal? And what was that process like?
I would say, yeah. I mean, she's blossomed because when you love what you do, work is not that bad. Even if you work 80 to 90 hours a week, if you really love it, there is no such thing as work-life balance. I think it's work-life integration. But if you really love it, I think it transforms how you show up. It transforms how you show up for yourself, for the community you're involved in, for your work, in everything that you do. And then the end result for the client is different, right? If you actually love it, there's that passion into it that you pour, and that has a bigger impact than doing something that you hate every day. And so watching people transform their business and then transform as human beings and their life becomes something much fuller and happier and more fulfilled, I think that's the big win, to be honest.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Loveland Chamber. I see you at a lot of the chamber events, but you're an ambassador, right? So you've taken some leadership with them. What edge do you think that's given you as like a leadership within a networking community rather than just being a normal member?
I think you get out of that what you put into it. And when I started going to chamber events, it was selfish. I will say that, because I only went to the ribbon cuttings every Tuesday, but I was like, that's a great way for me to meet new businesses. I can just hang out, introduce myself, and that's a great connector for me since I didn't have a strong foundation already in the community, that was a great way for me to build one. And especially since I was the third owner of the magazine, it was a great way for me to cultivate a different face to the name, a different person in charge. So I just went to everything. And then they were like, you might as well be an ambassador since you're here, every Tuesday anyways. And I would say that has made a lot of connections for me. But if you join the chamber and you only do a ribbon cutting, you might not see the results of it. I would say go to the events. It may be some of the same people continuously, but that doesn't mean that getting your name in front of those people doesn't matter. And repetition wins people over. Trust is earned in drips with people, just like branding or marketing. And if you're not continuously seen, people don't know you're there for the long haul. They don't know that you're a business that's going to stay. So go. It's like a couple hours once a month. I would say join and go, or just pay to go if you don't want to join. And I guarantee if you show up and you continually do that, you will succeed. And that's, I think, one of the best quotes I've ever been given is to be successful, you just have to do what most people aren't, and that's be consistent.
So good. And I think when you have a squad or friends that you want to do it with, it gives you some courage. You borrow each other's courage.
100%.
But what if you don't have that? What if I'm new and I don't know anybody? I moved to town, opened my business, and I don't have that connection, and I'm showing up by myself. Any tips you have for people who are feeling like they don't even know anybody in the room?
Sometimes I think that's a bigger advantage if you don't know anybody.
Okay.
Because when you show up and you have a group of people you normally hang out with or friends that are already there, sometimes you tend to stay in those groups. And so sometimes your biggest advantage is pretending like you know nobody in the room, because then you're open to meet everybody and the world's your oyster. You're not already confined to I got to catch up with so-and-so, or I didn't see her last month, so I got to talk to her this month. And I will say when I started and I began going to chamber events or anything in the community, that was probably one of the biggest things for me, is because I know no one. And so I talked to everyone. And I'd say if you were an introvert, just pick 2 topics to stick to, 2 things that are relevant to your business, like share your why is important with people, not just what you do, why you do it, because then you can really connect with people on a level that's a little bit more authentic and impactful, because otherwise you're just, this is what I offer, these are my hours, this is where my business is, and everyone's like, okay, there's 9,000 insurance agents. What's your why? Why are you special? And then I would ask them the same question, because that builds a personal relationship with that person. And then tell them about your life, something personal in your life, not just about your business. Even if you connect over wiener dogs, right? That's impactful too. So I think something personal and your why about your business, not just what you do, people will remember that more.
Well, speaking of wiener dogs, we have a wiener dog event coming up. So why don't you give that a quick plug?
So we are, fingers crossed that the Loveland Yards approves it. We have a meeting with their property management company, but we're hoping to host a wiener dog event at the Loveland Yards. We want to have wiener dog races, a costume contest, hopefully a hot dog eating contest, not for the dogs, for the humans, and then probably a photo booth. I think we want to start with smaller group of activations than going crazy big, although I'm a little nervous that it could outgrow itself very quickly. I still think it could be pretty fun. And so there's another business in the yards that we'll be partnering with. It's called Projective Studios. And so he, again, met with him about a business meeting for advertising. He has a wiener dog. I have a wiener dog. And we were like, hey, there's this thing called Texas Wiener Fest that happens every year. And so I was like, we should do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take our shot at it. So,
well, I think it's a good just showcase that networking doesn't have to be the stereotypical networking where everybody's just sitting around and trying to have. You could network at a wiener dog race.
100%. Well, sometimes the best business connections I've made haven't been at a networking event. They've been at a dinner I went to, or something someone else invited me to, or a graduation party. And I think the more that you ingrain yourself in the community and the more you attend things that are maybe a little bit outside of your comfort zone in your box, instead of going home and, checking out for the night, go for 2 hours. Even if it's something small, those connections that I made outside of focused networking stuff sometimes have the bigger impact. And reach out to people. I mean, Instagram DM is a really great tool. If you have a painting company and you know someone else who's really killing it, go have coffee with them. Pick their brain. Maybe they have jobs that they can refer to you and vice versa that don't fit what they're trying to do or their goals, and they can feed into one another. So I think the sky's the limit, but you just have to not see a boundary. So there's never a problem. It's a challenge, right? And so think of things as a challenge instead of problems and face everything that way.
What is your personal strategy when you're networking? Because a lot of it is you making sure that your partners, your squad is having a good experience, making connections, but you have your own business to run and your own connections to make. So how do you balance the caretaking of your community versus your personal promotion of your own business?
That's fair. I think knowing the people you're bringing with you or that you're trying to connect to others is important. If they are very introverted and they are not likely to approach a group of people on their own, take them with you everywhere and then be like, oh, this is Sarah and she owns this business, and introduce her to everyone that you talk to as well. Because if you're more outgoing and you're likely to just go up to be like, hey, I haven't met you. My name's Desiree. What do you do? That's a different reason to drag them with you. If you have someone who's a little bit more like free roaming and they're going to be able to stand on their own and they aren't so introverted to need those introductions, I just force them to go because they'll be fine once they get there. So I think knowing the person that you're going with and who you're trying to connect to others is how you can get them the right connections, or at least conversations started that you maybe can leave after they get speaking to one another too.
There you go. We got a couple different episodes out on the table, but a lot of really great issues that have came out. You're a collector of stories. What has been one of your favorite stories you've been able to write about over the past couple of months?
Actually, it's from the first year I had the magazine. My favorite one that we got to write was we had the fire in 2024. I don't even remember the name of that one. There's been so many of them. But we got to sit down with the fire chief and kind of really hear about that fire and how they were the connection between the crews that came in and saying, like, we're going to let this burn and we're going to guard this line. And they were like, no, we're going to stay here and keep these homes safe. And I think those are stories that the community never hears about, right? They don't ever get to sit down with the fire chief and have him tell you firsthand why they fight for their community and why they fight to keep those homes safe and keep those things a part of the history in Loveland. And so sitting down with them and like hearing how they face their job every day and then being able to translate that into a story that connects what happened to the people who were making sure that the things that mattered were still there. These are our neighbors, these are our community members, and their houses are worth saving. Even this other line is like a big deal. This is a big deal too. And they're the voices that no one would know was back there saying, hey, this matters. So that was a pretty impactful one for me, I think, and being able to share that with the community because that's not something they would have ever had the chance to hear or relate to. So
yeah, well, some people the Loveland Plus South magazine shows up every month to their own mailbox, but if not, they can find it at coffee shops or what's other places they can find, or online.
Yeah, so there's a digital version of it you can subscribe to. We always post everything on the social media. We also go to 550 local businesses. Some of them get a couple copies, some of them don't. And then I personally drop copies off. Usually the coffee shops run out pretty quickly. So I drop them off places and then just throughout the month. I usually get 150 extra copies and I usually only end up with maybe 20 or 30 left. Oh. But I make a valiant effort to go to like, hey, I know the car dealership's only got 2 and I will go. And sometimes they won't even have them a weekend left over. So I'll go in and drop copies other places. But if someone wanted a copy, they can always ask to be added to our additional reader lists as well. So,
right on. And then if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what events are you going to be at, or what's the best way to contact you?
Probably, the website has my phone number on it and my email. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me. I will say text sometimes is easier if I'm running during the week, but that's the best way to share stories or inquire about advertising or how to work with us for events or anything like that. So
awesome, Desiree. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and we'll see you around Loveland and Berthoud and Johnstown.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Hey all, thanks for watching. I love networking and building relationships with other Northern Colorado business leaders. So if you want to come meet some of these podcast guests, meet me, or meet some other amazing entrepreneurs in Northern Colorado, I would love to have you attend one of our next events. Go in the podcast description. There's a ways that you can see our upcoming schedule, and maybe you could be a future podcast guest as well. Thanks.